Hey guys, thank you for joining me today in Healing Sessions ExJW Recovery Episode 3. Today we're going to be talking about being disfellowshipped and our family. I'm not going to lie, this is a fake smile because this is a very painful topic for anybody who's lost our family due to the disfellowshipping practices. And I decided that this probably is more important than ever because of the new update that the governing body just came up with about softening their shunning practices. And because they're softening it, there's a lot of people out there, like us, who are getting contacted by their family members after maybe years and years, decades even, of being shunned, saying like, hey, hi, it's me. We'd like to invite you to the memorial. And our community is feeling a lot, legitimately, rightfully so. Some of the responses that I'm hearing are just, we're angry, we're furious, we're hurt. How dare they shun us for so long and then all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, hi, rules change, so hi, can you come to the memorial? It's creating all kinds of emotions in us, and like I said, rightfully so. So I'm going to do my best to be super upbeat and happy, but I might cry because I've lost all of my family. And if you feel like crying, this is a super safe place to do it because nobody can see you. You're wherever you are by yourself watching this video, and I can't even see you. So if you feel like pausing and crying, maybe that's therapeutic. Maybe that's a good thing. So, all right, so let's dig right in here. First of all, whatever it is that you're feeling, I understand 100%. I've lost probably about 50 family members, and I came from a good family. It was not an abusive family. I feel like I was lucky in that way. I didn't have a mentally abusive, verbally abusive, physically abusive family. They were very, very, very strict. I came from 5 generations. So when I left, no matter how great my family was, I'm shunned hardcore by grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, sister, mother. I'm completely shunned. And so I know how much that hurts. So I think you're probably all in about the same situation. I don't have to talk about that too much because we're all on the same page. The first thing that's going to help us deal with this new trauma, especially if somebody's reached out to you, is recognizing that the truth is that we came from a very toxic background. They're good people. I have family members that are good people. They're still toxic. So that's important. That's important to see. Maybe it's not quite fair to even say that they are toxic. Their behaviors are 100% toxic. So if you're to do some sort of Google search on, how do I know if my family's toxic? How do I know if this is a toxic relationship? There's some very key things that they're always going to come up to help you decide whether or not this relationship is toxic or not. So one of the first things that's going to come up is on a toxicity test, I guess you could call it that, is they're going to ask you, how do you feel around your family? Do you feel anxious? If you check yes, then you might have a toxic relationship. How do you feel when I've got notes here. So how do you react when you're in the presence of your family or the thought of spending time with your family? Do you look forward to it? Do you feel neutral? Or does it cause stress and anxiety? Now, these are going more geared towards normal toxic families. Ours are a little bit different. So I'm just going to go over identifying toxic relationships, and then we're going to tweak it to fit the JW background, because I think there's lots of toxic people out there. Maybe they're truly evil. Maybe they're truly narcissistic. Maybe they have mental problems. Jehovah's Witnesses take this to a whole different level, because like I said, I can look at my family and I see the good in them, but the behaviors are still toxic. So when we're trying to decide how our family fits in with us, we still have to go over these questions, because we have to separate the people from their behaviors. And sometimes recognizing that the behaviors are toxic helps us forgive the people for being toxic, which is important for our own mental health. So going over the toxic relationships, do you feel anxious or on edge around your family? Yeah, we're disfellowshipped. How do you react to potentially spending time with your family? Are you neutral? No, we're walking on eggshells. We're probably terrified. How are you able to express your thoughts and feelings around your family? Is it met with understanding and respect, or is it met with judgment? Judgment, hello, obviously, we're extremely judged. Do you have to hide yourself, your true self, your thoughts? Do you have to suppress your true thoughts around your family? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. How about this? Can you rely on them for emotional support in times of stress? No. So, we're hitting a home run here on toxic relationships. Like I said, we love them. They're good people, but so far they are 100% on the toxic scale of a toxic relationship. How about this? Do you believe that interactions with your family will have a positive or a negative effect on your self-esteem? Negative, negative. In this update, I was furious with this update too, because they're softening how they're willing to reinstate people, except for pedophiles, apostates, and people who purposely ruin a marriage. So if we're in an abusive marriage, in their eyes, we're the same as a pedophile. Okay, if we're an apostate, technically an apostate is anybody who questions anything, right? If we question how they handle pedophiles, we're classified as an apostate. So we've got all kinds of layers of judgment, as you well know. We've got tons of classifications here for being toxic relationships. How about this question? Do you feel drained or energized after speaking to your family members? Now, some of this, like I said, if you're disfellowshipped and you've had a lot of no contact, we've got a lot of pent up feelings and emotions. Here's another question. Is punishment harsh or severe for disagreement in your family? Guys, here's the truth. We came from our families are toxic. They might be good people, but the relationship is toxic. So now they're reaching out to say hi after 10, 15, however many years of completely ignoring us. And now how do we react? Okay, well, first of all, we now know that any relationship we have with them is going to continue to be toxic, because unless you intend on going back to the religion, full heart in, leaving all your worldly ways behind, you're going into a toxic relationship. So clearly, we don't want that. We don't want that. When you read any books or anything like that about what do I do about my toxic family, they'll say things like, set boundaries. I don't feel comfortable. I want to express myself. Yeah, that doesn't work with Jehovah's Witnesses. You all know that. We can't set boundaries in a lot of ways, not because they're just not going to participate. So we do set boundaries, but it's a little bit different than what any sort of advice that you'll see in a book is, because they're not playing by the same rules. They're not, just they're not just toxic. They're religiously toxic. They're toxic with a backing of their God, of their religion, which means they're not, even no matter how good their heart is, they're not going to respond the way that normal toxic families respond to setting boundaries, etc. Sorry, I had to take a little pause there because that's painful. It's a painful topic because I know my family isn't, their hearts aren't toxic, but their behaviors are toxic. Their behaviors are toxic to me. Even though their hearts aren't, their behaviors are. And so are your people. Your people, I'm sure they do love you in their hearts too, just like mine do. But we have to recognize it for what it is. And their behaviors are damaging and highly, highly toxic to us. So, in any sort of book or anything else that you'll read about toxic families, they'll tell you that you need to set boundaries. You need to stand up for yourself to recreate the dynamic. Yet that doesn't work with us. The next thing that they all say is go no contact with your family. A worldly person reads that and they're like, oh, no contact. I can't do that. That's terrible. We're trained in that. We're trained in no contact. I don't know about you, but when I was in, I shunned people. I shunned people that I loved. And now I have my family. So clearly there's shunning going on here too. Oh, my sweet friends, we get no contact. We get it. And in this situation, that is probably still the safest thing for us to protect our hearts, to protect our sanity. They chose no contact, but honestly, in a lot of ways, it's a blessing in disguise because here on the other side, we have our freedoms. We can thrive. We can be our authentic self. We can create real friends. We can create a new life. They chose no contact, and we can choose to keep it that way for our own happiness and stability because we're really good at that. We've already been trained in that. So it still hurts though. It's still painful. This is an unnatural thing that they've done to us, and it's not easy for us to do it back. Although I still stand by that is the absolute best thing to do. I miss my family, but I don't miss the drama. I don't miss the guilt trips. I don't miss the jabs to, you want to see your grandfather? Well, then you need to come back to Jehovah. I don't miss any of that. I don't need it. So while I miss my family, I'm good with the no contact because it's healthy for me. It's healthy for me and for you. So how do we deal with the pain from it? Okay, so first of all, the number one thing that we need to do is we need to change our expectations. You might want to take a note of that because we only feel hurt when we have an expectation and the expectation is not met. Then we feel disappointed, we feel let down, we feel hurt. So that happens a lot with natural family relationships. Like we're sons, we're daughters, and we feel like our parents should love us unconditionally. They should be proud of us. They should be proud that we're thriving. They should be proud that we're happy. You see, our expectations are all the way up here. We should be, they should accept us for who we are. They should support us when we're having a bad day or a bad time or we're going through something difficult in life. They should. In a perfect world, they would, but we are not in a perfect world, and they are part of a cult. And they've been trained toxic behaviors. So, while in their heart, I believe they love us, their behaviors and their indoctrination and their training is toxic, and our expectations are that they are not toxic. And that's why we feel crushed and disappointed and let down and kicked in the gut, and we feel hurt because our expectations for them are too high. So go no contact. That's my advice. And how do we deal with no contact in our heart? We lower our expectations for one. They cannot accept us for who we are. They're incapable because of their indoctrination. The because doesn't really matter so much because their behavior is going to be the same. Their behavior is going to be the same, no matter if it's because they're narcissistic people or they're very sincere, humble, meek, mild Jehovah's Witnesses. The toxicity is the same. So we have to adjust our expectations because we have expectations of what a friend should be. A friend should be loyal. They should be there for you no matter what. We're not dealing with normal people. And as long as your expectations are high, you're going to get let down. So I want you to just stop for a minute and I want you to think about that. Your mom, your sister, your friend, your grandparents, they should love you and be loyal. But they're not. They can't. It's literally impossible. Lowering our expectations of their behaviors feels better in our heart. They're simply not capable of what we wish they were capable of. That's not our fault. That's not our responsibility. I have this really cute puppy. He's the best dog. He is such a great dog. He's an amazing dog. But you know what? If I expected him to make dinner for me, if I expect my puppy dog to make lasagna for dinner, I'm going to be disappointed every single time because he can't. So as you feel disappointed that your family doesn't accept you, that the love is not sincere, that there's no loyalty there, they're just like my puppy dog. They can't. They just can't. So if you get a message from them or well, mainly if you get a message from them, especially now, if they're reaching out to you or something, keep your expectations low. They can't do any more than invite you to the memorial. That's it. That's the best they've got. That's the best they've got in their heart. Knowing that, hello, guess what? Our rules have changed and now I can say hi and invite you to the memorial. It means nothing more than that. They can't give you more. You cannot get back what you lost. It was never there to begin with. The toxic behaviors were still there, even when we thought we were like this with our family. What we thought we had wasn't real. I want you to understand that. What we thought we had wasn't pure. It wasn't sincere because they have brainwashing. So maybe you were like this with your mom. Maybe you were like this with your sister. Maybe your family was tight until you step out of line and then they hit all of those traits on that toxic list. That's not true love. That's not true friendship. So what we've lost wasn't real anyway. I'm going to talk about how to find that outside because it's not lost forever. We can replace those relationships. I'm going to do an entire episode on that. I just wanted to talk about this toxicity and being disfellowshipped because of this new update about them, being able to soften it and reach out to us. Their rules don't have anything to do with our world. Great, they got an announcement. Hey, they can say hi. Nice, thanks. You know what? Actually, nothing has changed in my world. I still don't have freedom to be me. I'm still going to get judged. I'm still going to, all of those toxic traits, they're still there. They had a softening on the rule, doesn't affect things whatsoever. Stay non-contact, Make sure you lower your expectations, because just because they can say hi does not mean that they can be healed in their hearts. They can't. They're not, unless they're looking to leave, they're going to stay toxic. And recognizing that, don't get your hopes up that all of a sudden this means you're going to be back in your family again. They can't. Okay, so our response is our responsibility. They've done no contact for all these years. That's on their shoulders, not on ours. That's on their shoulders. Now their rules have slackened and they can say hi. Okay. Our response is still our responsibility. So I'm going to go over some suggestions of maybe some things that you could say. I know that my first response was, I hope they don't actually say anything because I'm probably going to lash out. I'm going to be furious. I'm livid. If you feel like that, that is some legit anger. You earned it. You earned it. We all did. However, it's not necessarily very helpful. Not for us. And it's definitely not going to change them. So we could be angry or we could be neutral. Neutral feels better. Neutral feels better. How do we be neutral? Number one, like I said, like I just went over, lower your expectations. This doesn't mean anything. It's not changing who they are. It's not changing their motives. This is all they're capable of doing. That's not good enough for me, so I choose to remain no contact. I can't get any angrier at them than I can my dog for not making dinner. If they're not capable, they're just not capable. That helps neutralize the anger some. How can we expect them to embrace us when they're brainwashed not to? So now they reach out with these fake, highs. And to me, it warrants a little chuckle. Aw, you're so cute. Yeah, you're still toxic. Not my world, not my circus. Anger doesn't necessarily help. And anger definitely doesn't help. I mean, if you ever hope that maybe their eyes will open one day, anger's not the way to do it. Love, coming from a place of love, is a better way to do it. So here's some things that maybe we can say. This is going to be kind of a combination of staying no contact, setting boundaries, and staying neutral. So if you have a family member that texts you or calls you, seems like a lot of people are getting more text messages than they are phone calls, probably because this is as awkward for them as it is for us. That's another thing to remember. This is probably no easier for them than it is for us. They are human. They love us. They shunned us. And now after 15 years, all they can say is, hi, hun, can you come to the memorial? I'm sure that probably is opening up a whole bunch of wounds in them too. I'm sure that if the new light said there is no more disfellowshipping, embrace them fully, I'm sure probably a lot of them would, much more so. I think, I don't know. I guess it depends on their Bible trained conscience. I love that phrase. Anyway, so if it's a family member that reaches out, I would probably say something like, "Aw, I've missed your voice. I'd love to be family with you. Do you think we can mutually accept each other for who we are in spite of our differences?" Okay, that's a little scripted, so maybe I'd be a little bit more me, and I'd say something like, I've missed you so much. I love you so much. I accept you for who you are. And if you're willing to accept me with all my faults and all my beliefs and this new me, I'd love to. See, that's kind of a combination of a boundary too, because I'm not going to change. I'm not changing. Your world's changing. Your rules are changing. I'm still me. We can say things like, I love you. Thank you. Thank you for reaching out to me. Maybe leave it at that. Depending on how hardcore your people are, we can say things like, I have always loved you. I accept you no matter what changes in your life there are. And if you're willing to accept me for all of my changes, you'll always be my sister or my mother or whatever. We're staying in a place of love while we're still going to respect the no contact. And we're definitely setting our own boundaries. I mean, if I get a memorial invitation, I'm not going to pretend like I'm going to go. I'm not going to give them the false hope of, dangling this carrot in front of them that, oh, maybe she's going to look, she went to the memorial. This is great. She's coming back to Jehovah. No, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely not. This is my life. I am happy with my life. I am free. I am at peace. And if you want to join me, then I love you and my arms are open to you. But this is the me you have to accept. This is who I am. I probably wouldn't bring up anything negative about anything. I wouldn't bring up anything negative about the organization, about doctrinal changes, about the sex abuse, not to family, definitely not to family. Not ready. They're not ready for it yet. If they're not willing to accept the fact that we're not coming back to Jehovah, that door is probably going to be slammed, and that's probably not even an option to even go into that topic. And like I talked about in the last video about beliefs, if their head's not in this questioning phase where they're kind of having doubts and anything negative that we say is just going to be met with walls. So let's keep it, I would suggest that we keep it loving, keep it open. I love you. I'm so happy you reached out to me. If we can have a friendship starting now where we both are in our life right now, I would love that. Here, would you come to the memorial? I love you so much. Thank you for thinking of me. No, I won't be attending the memorial. I'd love to love you again as my family, though. No wavering on whether or not we're going to go to appease them, because remember, it's a toxic dynamic. Set your expectations, set your boundaries, be willing to stay no contact if that's what keeps you safe. But love heals, so at the same time, we can leave the door open to being loving. Yes, I love you. Thank you for thinking of me. Can we still be friends? Can you accept? Is it okay? Are you okay with who I am? I'm okay with who you are. Are you okay with me? So what if it's a stranger? What if it's an elder? What if it's somebody else that tries reaching out? I would take a little bit different tactic with them. I would still keep the doors lovingly open. If somebody reaches out that's not family and says, hey, we've had this update, because I've heard people say this too, that they've had elders or other former friends say, we just had a new governing body update. Here it is. Hi, go to the memorial. I would respond a little bit differently to those. I would respond by saying, I've missed you so much. I love you. Thank you for the link. I've already seen the video. What's interesting to me is they don't mention any changes to how they handle pedophiles in the organization. Or it's interesting to me that they don't mention that they just lost their status in Norway, as their religious status in Norway as an organization, because of the shunning process. I would be a little bit more forward with those people because I don't have so much of a personal relationship with them. So I would still keep it open and loving, but I would be willing to put in some of those neutral comments, not coming from a place of hate, not coming from a place of even wanting to rattle the fence, but just saying, thank you so much for thinking of me. I really appreciate it. I already saw the update. What's interesting to me is that the Australian government had to step in and protect our children. When the governing body decides that they're ready to protect the sheep under their care from child abuse, maybe I'd think about it then. I would definitely probably bring something up to the other people, but I don't think I would to my family. I wouldn't suggest that. It opens too much of a wound with a toxic relationship that has a history. So with family, I'd keep it simple. I love you. Thank you for thinking of me. I love you with my whole heart, no matter what you believe. If you could do the same for me, I'd love to have a friendship. I'd love to go back to being friends. I'd love to go back to being family. And like I said, if you anything that you might get from somebody that's not family, I would probably take a little bit stronger of a stance. Thank you so much for thinking of me. I know it's the memorial. No, I'm not interested in going until they change or accept responsibility for the lives they've ruined for shunning people. No, I might not say until, because I'm never going back no matter what, but a response that brings up some of the issues might be appropriate for somebody that's not a family member. There's another dynamic too about making friends on the outside, replacing our family with other people. Our biological family is not the only family available. Sometimes we might hear, you only have one mother, you only have, this is your family, you have to love them no matter what. That's not true. That's not true. I have adopted mothers and fathers, and I have adopted children, and I am adopted sister. I have a family that's loving and supportive. I'm going to do a whole entire episode about how to create those relationships. This one I want to keep specific to how do we deal with being disfellowshipped and the recent update with our family. So just kind of a summary. I don't want to make this too long, but here's the best summary. Accept that the behaviors are toxic. Stay no contact. If they're not willing to drop their beliefs and accept us for who they are, we're trained in playing by their rules. Stay no contact if that keeps your heart safe. And then respond. Our responses are our responsibility. We can lash out with anger. That's not the best place to come from. My best advice is to respond with love. Anything they might say, we can just say, I love you so much. Thank you for thinking of me. I always think about you. I love you for who you are. And if you love me for whom I am, then I'm lucky to have you as my sister. And leave it at that. And then see where it goes from there. Okay, so make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe. Please make comments about whatever it is that you're going through with the newness of everything. I am going to make a point to respond to everything that anybody comments. And I'm going to keep these videos coming because I've had tons of good response that this is what people need. This is what helps us create a new tribe, our new identity and our new tribe. So, you know what? Their rules might change, but our world is consistent and steady. I love you guys. I will talk to you soon in the next episode. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and feel free to share the videos with anybody else you think might benefit. All right, talk to you soon.